Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about having Taurus on the 12th house cusp in a natal chart. Now, the first thing I look at as far as Taurus on the 12th goes is restrictions and limitations. And in many cases, the person would have Gemini rising with Taurus on the 12th, and the restrictions and limitations may be tied in perhaps to maybe lack of persistence and tenacity, maybe a lack of perseverance, the endurance as far as not maybe necessarily literally all the time, but from a figurative standpoint as well. Perhaps a lack of loyalty or steadfastness to certain things because of perhaps vacillation. There may be something, maybe an inability to hold the ground on certain issues and to be able to kind of stand their ground, so to speak. Perhaps the restrictions and limitations come from also, in some cases, maybe as far as the persistence thing, and Taurus is connected with things that are monetary, and it's a sign of wealth, and perhaps in some cases this person might have some kind of financial issues or have difficulty in retaining maybe the same line of work or the same way of generating money for a period of time, for a sustained period. Now, as far as the secret sorrows may go, well, the secret sorrows and the despondency in private may be connected with things of a monetary nature. It might be something connected with love or romance because Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and Taurus is a sign strongly associated with love. And it could be something connected with maybe the sense, maybe the love and the something. Maybe a breakup of some kind with a lover. Maybe there's some secret sorrows with this. Maybe it has to do with sensual pleasures to a certain degree. Maybe there was overindulgence in some isolated cases, and there might be some secret sorrows that are associated with this. Now, the 12th house is also associated with one's undoing, and perhaps back to the lack of persistence and tenacity. This might be tied in to this person's undoing, at least partly. It could be a lack of stability in peace, perhaps maybe the lack of, I should say more, maybe from a monetary standpoint, it might be maybe something, a lack of stability, maybe with their funds. There might be something tied in to the self-undoing. It might be a lack of consistency in certain things, a lack of persistence, and it could indicate maybe a lack of. Taurus is being an earth sign is about premeditation and forethought, and it could be a lack of planning to a certain degree, or a lack of discretion. This might lead perhaps to one's self-undoing, and maybe there were times when they needed to be a little bit more stubborn and obstinate about things, and the person was not able to do so, and it might have led to the self-undoing. Now, the 12th house is also associated with hidden or secret enemies and adversaries, and this doesn't necessarily mean that the person is going to have Taurus adversaries or enemies, but in some cases the person may actually be a sun, moon, or ascendant in Taurus. Now, the hidden enemies may be tied into people that are of wealth, that are of affluence, maybe tycoons, maybe people that are prominent in some kind of business, or stockbrokers, for example, people in finances. It could be people that are associated with banks and just with money in general, one way or another. And it may turn out to be in certain situations that maybe a former lover, for example, might be somebody that has animosity toward this person for a certain reason, and it could turn out to be a secret enemy or adversary. Now, as far as the dreams and unconscious side goes, well, maybe this person is sparked inwardly or on a subconscious level. Maybe to attain some kind of material wealth. They might not always be consciously aware of it. It could be a person that maybe has dreams of having affluence, of having a prodigious amount of money, of having wealth, of having a very strong set of values. Perhaps it could indicate maybe this person has dreams of finding, if this person is unattached, finding a sustained love, having peace and tranquility in their life. Very maybe the dreams are about are peaceful and tranquil. Now, the 12th house is also associated with imprisonment, and in some isolated cases, if this person ever is incarcerated, it could be over something monetary, it could be over some kind of extortion or embezzlement or theft. Another example could be money laundering, and like I stated, most people aren't committing crimes especially of this magnitude, and these are just isolated cases. But one way or another, the imprisonment may be associated with something of a monetary nature. And as far as fear, this person may have perhaps a fear in terms of things that are of a monetary nature, and they may retain their possessions for a protracted period of time because of this, because there might be a fear that they might not be able to supplant or replenish these. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for having Taurus on the 12th house cusp in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about having Gemini on the 12th house cusp in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.